Man, them. I know
Well,
you've not been following many of the transfers, or I want to throw some at you. Tell me what you think, right?
Yep.
Okay. Arsenal need a striker. We've spoke about this. They need a striker. So
For
what have they
sure.
done? They bought a holding midfielder who's good in the air, and they bought a goalkeeper. What's going on? So what are you thinking? Do you think he will buy a striker? He'll cave and buy a striker, or are they playing clever?
For me, I mean, as a neutral, I would have thought that's their number one priority. We've said it and said it. I've not been following, to be honest. After West Ham's last season, I've switched off quite a lot from football. I've not followed it, and I've obviously, as you know, I've been travelling around doing shows across Europe. So they've signed a goalkeeper, a first team goalkeeper to replace Raya.
No, they've signed Kepa from Chelsea
For what? Just as a number two,
to
or to
compete
compete with him?
apparently
Right. He was on loan last season, wasn't he?
at Bournemouth,
Yeah. So
and
they
then
didn't
the year
fancy
before
him.
that, at the year before, well, Bournemouth no, because they bought Kelleher instead, and
Of course they did. Yeah.
Arsenal had Bournemouth's goalkeeper as their second choice in Neto. So Neto's gone back to Bournemouth. They've bought. Oh, sorry, Brentford have bought Kelleher. So Neto is obviously going back to Bournemouth to be then, and what are they bringing in another goalkeeper? But it
Dead
doesn't make any
scratcher.
sense.
No,
Yeah,
and I know that they got rid of Party. So who have they brought in as a DM?
the Brentford holding midfielder, Norgard, the club captain
Right.
from Brentford.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this now. I genuinely worry about Brentford this year.
Lost their
New
captain,
manager,
lost their manager, losing
yeah.
Embuemo.
Losing Bremo, Wissa, I think will probably go as well. So you've lost, and then there's also talk of Damsgaard, one of their creative players, being gone. I mean, you could also look at Bournemouth. Bournemouth have lost their left back, their goalkeeper. They've lost their centre back to Real Madrid. They should keep Semenyo, he just signed a new contract. But you think, well, what's going to happen there? You've just took away four of your back five. There's talk of PSG interested in their Zabienia, I think that's how you say it, the other centre back. They've had a 55 million offer returned down. So well, Bournemouth were built on like some solid defence and could counter high pressing. You lost four of those defenders that could press high and win the ball and be dangerous, plus your
And,
goalkeeper.
as we just said, yeah, the goalkeeper to play between the sticks.
Yeah.
And I can't see Eva Nilsson staying there either, can you? And I don't know what's happening with Iraola's thing, but isn't he in his last year this year coming up?
I'm sure he's going to sign another contract to Iriola. I'd be surprised if he went this year, but Evan Nilsson's a good player. I think he's very good. You got team sniffing around Patrick Kluivert as well.
Justin Kluivert.
Justin Kluivert. Good name. Better not sniff around Patrick. I know we need strikers, but not that much.
Mate, I reckon we'd take him.
Yeah, right. Well, Arsenal need a goal. They need a striker. Newcastle want a striker to replace Callum Wilson because he's supposed to be leaving. They had a 50 million bid for João Pedro turned down at Brighton. Chelsea came in for 60 million. He signed for Brighton, potentially making his debut in the Club World Cup tomorrow at 2 a.m. For the sake of 10 million, Newcastle could have had a player that can play across all the front lines and could be a backup for Isak if Isak was to stay. But Arsenal could have had a player that could also play against all the front lines and play up front. Is that not a big miss for Arsenal to miss out on a player like João Pedro?
Controversial opinion. Devil's avocado. Right. Is Arteta, who learned under the tutelage of Pep, trying to play this when Man City played without a number 9, when they had that couple of seasons before Haaland, where they just tried to play without an actual centre forward? Is he just trying to copy that and stick with it?
I don't know. I mean, he's got Havertz, who he plays through the middle,
but he's not really a number 9, is he? He's a
no.
sort of he's a sort of attacking midfielder that can play there, as was that other fella. Names begin with M. What was his name? What was his name? Young player. His name begins with M. Came on as a sub. Scored 2 in Europe, but he played up front. But he's a midfielder.
Oh, Miko Moreno.
Yeah.
I'm baffled by it. Baffled by that. You've got. I mean, I personally think the best value striker at the minute available will be the Fulham striker, Munoz. I think he's so underrated.
Yeah, I'm
So
surprised
good.
at that. I'm surprised at that shout. I heard you say that in the Beanie video. We were linked to him as well,
Good
and
player.
I weren't that excited about him.
You know what? I watched him closely in the Liverpool Fulham game, and it's a defender's nightmare. Just one of them where it's like I look at Havertz and say Havertz and playing at Havertz. You want to step into the midfield where I've got 3 players sitting in there. Good luck to you. I'm expecting one of my players to snap you. Like, damn, no problem. Or if I'm not worried about the threat behind, I'll go in with you and I'll catch you on the turn. Not a problem. But with Muniz, he plays right up on the last man. He'll battle in the air. He'll run channels. He's a nuisance. He gave Kanate and Van Dijk torrid time just running channels. Just by doing that in behind our fullbacks when they bomb forward, just being a nuisance. I think he's a very, very good striker, and he's for minutes. I'm sure it's minutes per played per goal. I'm sure he's second or third for a strike rate.
Is he an Arsenal level player, like going for the title standard of centre forward though? When you look at what you've got at Liverpool, when you mention Newcastle and Isak, like when you look at Haaland, if you want to go and compete with the big boys and not be bridesmaid, don't you need to sign someone of that caliber, proper bagsman?
I would put Muniz in the bracket of a Declan Rice. I think Muniz will be better when he's playing with better. Like, that's not a dig at West Ham, but West Ham he was outstanding. He looked good, but now he's shining brighter because people are now seeing. Look at what else he can do when it's in the nicest way. He's not playing with Souček.
Yeah, but I don't know if I don't know if I agree with that. I think when you watch him every week, I've seen him do that, and I just think the rest of the world didn't. I think now he's at Arsenal, more people are saying, wow, look, he can do this, he can do that, look how good he is. When before it was, oh, Sean Longstaff's better than him. You know what I mean?
I put that on in regards to, don't forget, football's a team sport. You can only look as good. Don't get me wrong, there's some players that can look great in any team, but I think you can only look as good as around you, especially when you're in the centre midfield and you're sort of like a holding or an 8. You need the supply, otherwise you're easy to mark. So if I'm playing against, say I'm playing against West Ham and Declan Rice is there, and I know Declan Rice is your best player, that's your danger. So to win the game, I just have to stop Rice. But when you're at a team like Arsenal, all right, I'll stop Rice. Then Saka does stuff. All right, stop Saka. Then get Martinelli does stuff. Then Martinelli does stuff. And then Odegaard's on the ball. When you've got more threat, I think some people will shine and grow into that. Right, I'm not the main important man now, but I need to make myself important, which I think what Rice has done. Or some people will shrink in regards to some of the players that Man City have brought down the years. Your Rodwells and your Calvin Phillipses, where you could grow, but you've shrank. And I think Rice is one of them. He's grown into it. I'm not saying he's not done that at West Ham, but I just think now with other opportunities around where you can, for example, I know that this player can open things on his own, so that he's got to be the danger, which will allow me to get in space. Or if they follow Odegaard's run, I can step into that gap. Where, no offense to like Souček, because I still like what Souček does. He's a box crusher, but if you're 40 yards out, what are you going to do? Go sideways? Great thread of the ball.
To be fair, to firm up your argument here, like as much as I don't see a lot of difference in Rice's play, but he has been allowed to. He never took corners for us. He never took free kicks for us. Look at what he did against Real Madrid.
Yeah,
with those 2 free kicks, So maybe he's had the chance to play around his players. Just staying on Arsenal a minute and their centre forward woes. When you look at how they've brought some good players through their academy, going back the likes of Saka and whatever, and last season looking at Lewis Skelly. Whatever happened to their centre forward that broke all the records under 21s? Won it Eddie Nketiah? Didn't he go on loan or somewhere to Crystal Palace? Has he gone? If they give up on him?
Crystal Palace signed him last year. Signed him for 20 million and he won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
So,
do you think they've slipped up there?
But the thing is, as most teams that win the league majority of the time, you need a squad, you need backup. So when they were saying, oh yeah, but we've had injuries, you're not be funny. Every team gets injuries. You have to deal with it. When we lost Van Dijk to that Pickford tackle, everyone, no feeling sorry for Liverpool. It was like, oh yeah, but no, listen, it happens. You have to move on. You got to try. It's not an excuse because you can't base your team around one player. If Salah was to get injured or we lost like a few other players, it's one of the things. It happens. Football happens. You get injuries. You have to move on. That's why you have a squad. So without a squad, I mean, we lost Trent for a lot of the season, and Conor Bradley stepped in. That's the idea. That's why you have a squad. That's why you have the 25-man limit, and you have the youth players you can bring through. What's the point of having a youth team if you're not going to supply any players? Doesn't make any sense. Build your squad.
I've got the answer to Arsenal's worries while you're talking. I thought of it, popped in my mind.
Go on.
I've got the answer. They need someone who could play as a number 9, centre forward through the middle. Yeah. They need someone who can get on the shoulder and get behind. Someone with pace. Someone who's proved he can be a marksman and score a lot of goals. Someone who's played in the Bundesliga, right, and scored a lot of goals in Germany. You know who they need, don't you?
Go on.
They need Timo Werner from Spurs.
Timo. You know where Timo's on his way to, actually? Apparently, he's going to America.
Is he really?
Apparently, yeah.
Retired already, is he?
Apparently, they take the money. He's done his bit. He's smashed all the lower divisions as a player. I mean, Timo Werner to me is the ultimate confidence player. He was smashing goals in for fun when he was at Leipzig. Came up, did well in the Bundesliga, got his move, and just different gravy. And then the was never the same player. Never the same.
Didn't work out at Chelsea, did he?
No. Big money. Yeah, just never worked out. Just going back to the transfer. So,
did you want to touch on the Newcastle thing a bit more?
Well, the reason why I brought up the João Pedro, because from our side as Liverpool, there's talk of us having the war chest to go and get Isak. So imagine now if we got Isak.
Forget it.
Darwin Núñez apparently is agreed with Napoli. We're just waiting on a fee to be agreed. I think it's going to be roughly between 60 and 70 million. Apparently, we turned out 80 in January because we don't want to lose him. Well, we're fighting for the league. So 60 million for that. And then say, if we got, say, 150 is the high price, would you be happy with a 90 million outlay for Alexander Isak?
100%. Mate, after signing Florian Wirtz and then getting 2 really quick attacking fullbacks in Frimpong and Kirkes, with the midfield you've got, if you add Isak to that, just give Liverpool the trophy. Just give them the Premier League title, and I could see you going deep into the Champions League as well.
I'm glad you said Champions League.
Hey?
I'm glad you said Champions League.
Well, did you think I was going to say Championship?
Someone, I don't know who you were going to say.
Yeah, I could see you going deep, nostril deep into the Champions League. Yeah, I think that'll be it.
There's also talk of us going for Mark Gahey as well, because apparently Konate's turned down his contract offer. He wants a better basic. There's rumours that Madrid have already been into him. Another one that we could lose for free.
Listen, talking of Madrid, Real Madrid have been linked to wanting Füllkrug from West Ham as backup for Mbappe. Maybe you'd go after him. Or while you're at it, you like a bargain, right? Mikel Antonio out of contract. Perhaps he could be the answer for Liverpool. What do you reckon?
No, I don't think so. You know what? For some reason, just don't see it.
Don't fancy a nearly 36-year-old injury-prone person who's played 11 minutes for Jamaica since breaking both of his legs in a car crash in December. You don't think that's the kind of caliber you want to go for?
I think we might look at other options.
The funny thing is, I've just laid it out like that, and we'll leave it on this. He's just turned the contract down at West Ham, so he's just turned us down.
Listen, to be fair, all I can say is hopefully he's got faith in him. So he must be thinking, I can still play. I can still do this. I want to be able to do it. So fingers crossed for him. Hopefully it all goes well.
Anything to leave us with?
Jamie Vardy.
Out of contract.
Is he a solution for Arsenal?
No. Stop it.
Why? You don't want to go and buy a striker. So when it comes to getting a striker, by the time it comes to it, I think the rumour I'm hearing is that Gyökeres basically is a done deal once the price comes down. That's supposed to be the deal. Liverpool's main target, if they can't get Isak, apparently is Ekitike from Frankfurt. Very good player compared to Mbappe, but apparently with a work rate attitude. I like that. The player that Everton are buying Louis Barre, very good player, French striker, big, 6'5", athletic. And then there's Sesko. Sesko's good, but we've seen strikers come from Bundesliga and not really do it in England. But then, and he's not hit the levels that Haaland was. So it's a risky one. Jamie Vardy for a year.
As a backup, or as their starting
as a backup for Havertz. Don't forget, if Odegaard is injured, Havertz can drop into that gap and Vardy can go through the middle. Or you can have rotation. I mean, why not?
I'll tell you what, I'd have him as a backup. If we signed an actual striker, I'd have him as a backup. I'd have Vardy as a backup. You know what I mean? I'd have him as a backup.
I personally think Vardy, the best move for Vardy would be to go to Scotland.
Yeah, it'd smash it for Celtic or Rangers, especially Celtic. I think we spoke about this before. I'm going to leave it with this, right? I think, how about this? Ponder this. Let me know in the comments below what you think. All right, Gunners, Arsenal fans, let me know. I'm not even on the wind-up now. And you let me know before you go what you think on this, Kanye. Right, we leave it with this. Arsenal's number 9 worries. Go out and sign someone who is 23, 24 years old. His international team's number 9, has played in the Premier League before and scored goals. Why don't they go and get Scamacca from Atalanta? Imagine him with that service.
I don't think he's quick enough.
Depends how they play. They like to play. They like to knock the ball around on the edge of the box and create chances. He can hold the ball up. He's got a hell of a shot on him. He can finish.
I don't think you need to be quick to play in the Arsenal team. I think you need to have that burst of pace to start off with. I think that's all you need.
I think he's got that. Over like 10 yards, he's explosive and he's powerful.
I'd like to see it. I thought Scamacca, when he came to West Ham, I thought he was unlucky just not to get a chance, really, because I liked him as a player watching him.
Yeah.
You never know.
We didn't play for him. We always do that. If we never, when we had Chicharito, we decided that we didn't want to fox in the box. We were trying to play it up to, we were trying to cross it on his head. Do you know what I mean? When we had Andy Carroll, all we did was play it into feet and never cross the ball to him. Like, you know, if a prime example of never quite getting it right at West Ham was we used to bring Andy Carroll on to get a goal and then take off Matt Jarvis, who had the most crosses in the league. Do you know what I mean? We never quite played to team strengths.
I'll put this to you before we go. I put that down to good defending. As a defender, if you've got Andy Carroll, I want to push you high up to create the space behind. Run into behind, because I'll do him. If you've got Chicharito, I'll drop in. Get the ball out wide and whip it in.
I'll make you right, but when your manager's not setting up to cross the ball at all in the whole game, not even trying, not even have that style of play across any game, across any defenders, across any opposition. Do you know what I mean? It's like there'd be times when you were crying, when the crosses were coming in and you'd be crying out for someone to get in a box and get on the end of it. You'd then put Chicharito in, looking around for scraps in the box.
But trying to play on second balls when you're getting heading 20 yards out. Don't make any sense.
You heard it here first. Scamacca or Timo Werner. Let us know, Gunners, what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. Think about it.